welcome to the stage, Mike Zakarian.
What is going on, party people? Happy Friday. It's going to be one of those days. I feel like I'm going to have 14 coffees today. That's kind of where I am here at the end of the week. So get ready. Buckle up because we're already a couple deep. We got a fun one this morning. We had two exciting games last night. The schedule for the weekend is going to be shaping up a little bit. Who do we got here, though, this morning? We got Sneeps. We got Federico's here with the people. Cameron Quinlan, the common man. Stubbs is here. Airplane mode. Keeper. Boston base is here. Badavine Martins. Matic Otto. J-Fog in the house. Good to see everybody. J-Fog, who we learned is like 7'4". Sneeps told us that on playback. That's playback alpha right there. Andre, I did not see you last night. Andre. Jump shoots here. Andor as well. Before we're gonna bring on Weisberg here in a second, I just want to shout out the people over at Candy. Oh, we got Sam in the house, Daniel's here. Look at everybody's here early. Like the stream, subscribe. But shout out to Candy Bros. I had a really great time last night over at I don't know, the Death Star Yankee Stadium as we watched a little bit of the Skanks and the Rays, and the Skanks got lit up. And it ended up working out great. Oh, damn. Yeah, I must have missed. All right. So here we go. This is like the quick story time. I had a great time. We saw, if you guys don't remember, Matt came on the show like freaking almost 2 years ago now. It was like right after Candy's first drop. And it was like a big deal for us because we were like, holy crap, we got like one of the head honchos over at Candy. And so Matt came on the show. We like have exchanged emails a few times, and I got to meet him last night. He was there. We had a great time talking to him. Met the founder, Scott, as well, who was like really nice, and got to talk to him for like a half hour or so. And it's just cool, man. Like, and I know Top Shot does similar things because I can already feel people just getting like angsty right now, be like, well, they send people to games all the time. It was cool. They just had section 331, I think it was, and there was just like, I don't know, 40 or 50 people there, and it was pretty cool. It was a good time, but I ended up also, pro pitch clock. We're pro pitch clock in this house because I was able to. This is what my plan was going into the night because I was really stressed out. I was really stressed out about the Celtics game, and I was like, all right, let's just like see the pace of this game, and then maybe we leave a little early and go watch it across the street. So at I don't know. I think we got 6 innings in, and that's when it was halftime. So at the 6th inning, we're like, all right, game's like 4 or 5-0. Let's just do it. Let's get out of here. So, and Kelsey came to the game with me too. So we left and we went to this place. Shout out Stan Loves, because I think it was called Stan's. And it felt like a bar I would have gone to when I was in college, where there's just like no seats. There's no seats. You just like a standing room only. The people that were there were watching the basketball game too, and then all of a sudden they changed the channel to like the hockey game, so we all had to be around one TV. And then the Yankees game got let out early. It was just chaos. It was really chaotic in there. People were not thrilled that it was like me and one other Yankees fan who was there who was rooting for the Celtics. Stan's is pretty fun. Billy's is way better. So Andre, I almost went to Billy's, but Billy's looked like it was about to be like a bump and grind. We were about to walk in, and it was just like wide open, and like the lights were doing a thing. And I was like, is this grinding? Is that what's happening? So we almost went in there, and I don't know, maybe if I like went in the wrong entry, I don't know. Anyways, we ended up in Stan's. People were wilding too. I forgot it was Thursday night. Just like young people, young energy. People were ready to go ham. Anyways, all that happened. One quick thing, and then I'm bringing Weisberg on. So people, because I saw somebody ask how much for the beer at the stadium. Eric said it was like 14 to 16. That's right. I got one drink there. All right. And then this is what happened. I get to Stan's and order. Kelsey got a Michelob Ultra, and I got what did I get? I got a dogfish head. All right. And this is what happens. I gave him a 20, and then he just like didn't come back with change. And I was like, all right, maybe. I was like, there's no way he thought it was a 10. And if he did, 10 wouldn't be enough. I knew that, right? And I was like, all right, okay, whatever. Whatever. Nice dude, happy to tip. I was probably going to tip him that much anyways, right? So we ordered a second round. And then I, like, before I pay him, like, hey, how much is this? He was like, oh, it's 20. The beers were $10 each. We weren't in the stadium. This wasn't like high-end beer. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, maybe the dogfish is like 12 and the Michelob's 8. Nah, 10. 10's across the board. Fucking wild. Anyways, I dropped $44 because we had 4 beers, $1 beer, $45 maybe on 4 beers. Just what the I should have stayed. We should have like asked them to change the TV inside the stadium and watch the game there. And for the record, I'm not anti-grind. I was just pro Celtics. I was pro Celtics. All right, let's get Weisberg on. We're going to talk a little last night's game. What's up, man? How we doing?
We're pro grind in this house. I don't know about you.
No, we're pro grind. We're pro grind. It was just not the right timing for the grind.
Totally understand. Yeah, man. Hell of a night. Between your Denver Nuggets closing out the Suns, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
And me being stressed the fuck out on playback last night. It was great.
So I was so frustrated mainly because what I ended up doing. Yeah, we're on West Coast Weisberg, by the way.
Yeah, I'm up early, and this isn't even like me hungover. This is just like my anxiety kicking in from the win last night, basically.
Yeah. So one of the frustrating aspects for me last night watching the game was I was following on my phone for the first half, and it was like up 10. Up 14 at one point, then up 8, whatever. And in the second I actually get to watch the game, we're like, what if we don't score in the third quarter? And it was pretty ugly. So like, talk me through like some of the first half stuff, because what I thought was interesting was they started Time Lord, and I understood that pivot. But I also thought like Time Lord's been kind of bad this series, so I didn't think it was like the big brain move that everybody else thought it was. But I mean, clearly it worked out.
So, give me a sec. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, dude. I like that. I like that I set you up for that too, and you're like, hold on, I'm not ready though.
So there's some match. So I'm gonna get a little nerdy here, Chad. I apologize. We do this quite a bit on playback, so we're gonna talk some matchup stuff here. Part of the reason why you go with the two bigs is the Sixers start PJ Tucker, so they're gonna put Time Lord on PJ Tucker and basically dare the Sixers to shoot. And they've done this during the regular season as well. Mm-hmm. But one of the changes they made here in the postseason against Sixers, they didn't want to start Time Lord given his injury history. And also they felt like Time Lord was giving them better looks coming off the bench than starting.
Well, and like, to be fair, in the first round and like really the second half of the season, Derek White's been playing his ass off, right? And so you kind of don't want to limit those Derek White minutes, as every podcast pointed out. Like, what is Joe Mazzulla doing in the second half of the season? But he's cooled off a little. Like, this doesn't seem to be the series for Derek White.
No, and look, White played good, not great last night. Mm-hmm. He's still a defensive menace. He was second team all defense. For those who don't know, he got that earlier this week. And basically, they dared PJ Tucker to shoot. PJ hit 2 threes, one early on. But the Time Lord stuff paid off, because at least in the first half. I felt like the Sixers, the Sixers made some adjustments in the fourth quarter that made it more difficult to play him. I think the Celtics spacing was a mess offensively in the fourth, and we'll get to the second half in a second. But in the first half, Time Lord had like 2 blocks early on, and it made it really difficult for James Harden to obviously Snapes. For James Harden to get going, because every time he would go into the paint, Robert Williams would come over and try to block the shot. So that's where that adjustment ended up playing a big role. Now, look, to PJ Tucker's credit, late in the second quarter, he has a pump fake, drives a lane, and lays it up, which is something that like the Sixers fans on my timeline were like, "What? PJ Tucker moving?" Can we talk
about the pump fakes here for a second? Well, the Celtics bet on every fucking pump fake that happened last night. Like, there was one, Embiid's at the top of the key, and he does a pump fake for 3, and Time Lord's like, I got to close out. Well, what are we doing? We like bid on every single one.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that was, look, you're playing the MVP, right? So, and Embiid was great through 3 quarters.
Sure.
Embiid was not great late, and by not great late, I mean Embiid didn't touch the ball the last 4 minutes of the game last night.
Yeah, I mean, that fourth quarter was weird. That was like a weird. That was 2 teams that were like, "What if neither of us win?" Like no one was making winning plays. They were just trying not to lose that game.
Somehow we've talked 5 minutes and haven't talked about Jason Tatum.
Oh man.
So we're going to get back to Embiid in a second. Let's talk Tatum first, because Tatum. I could literally hear WEI and 98.5 hosts in my head of what the next 6 months were going to be like, talking about Jason Tatum. To set the stage, Tatum's 1 of 15 heading into the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you know, it was funny too because I was trying to stay like pretty positive, and I was looking at it and I was like, listen, he's off to a pretty horrible start. Even though I think like at halftime he had like 1 point or 3 points, but he had like 7 boards and 7 dimes and 6 boards, something like that, right? Couple of blocks, and I'm like, all right, well, they're up 8 or 10, whatever it was at half, or maybe 7. And Tatum's playing like the worst half of his life. And I was like, that's okay. Like, I think that'll be okay. He'll snap out of it. However, that vibe for me in the third quarter, I was like, nah, something's broken here.
He missed the layup early third quarter on the break.
Mm-hmm.
He started doing the complaining to the refs thing a little bit too much offensively. They also took him out a little bit in the middle of the third. White and Smart were awesome. Malcolm Brogdon, unsung hero last night.
Yeah, he hit some tough ones.
He hit a bunch of early threes. Celtics bench was massive last night. It was
just 2 guys, right? It was just 2 guys off the bench.
Yeah, I think White and Brogdon. Let me pull up the box just because
I got it right here. They played 7 guys. So Brogdon played 30 minutes off the bench. He went for 16 and 6, and then Derek White 9. Derek White went 3 for 5 from 3, and he hit a big one in the second half where they just couldn't get a bucket. Also, we haven't talked about Marcus at all, and like without Marcus Smart's first half, I don't think they're even in that game. Like he went for 22, 7 and 7. He was there. I mean, honestly, he led them in scoring.
He had a late 3 with, I want to say, about 3 minutes left. That was like one of those yeah.
I mean, the Marcus Smart experience.
But the first Tatum 3 that he hits with about 4 minutes left was a pretty interesting possession. Celtics run horns, which is basically like a double screen, and they end up finding Brogdon. Brogdon nearly turns it over, finds Tatum in the corner.
Yeah, with Embiid on him, right?
With Embiid on him, mind you. And for those who don't know the Embiid-Tatum relationship, they work out together in the summers with Drew Hanlon. So they're very, very close relative to guys in the league. And Tatum thought about it, took one dribble, and shot a 3 over Embiid, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'll be honest too. I was at the point where I was like, man, don't shoot that. Because he had been so bad. Although the other part of me is like, there's no way he continues to do this. Like at some point they're going to go down. But I mean, I give him some credit. I know everybody was dunking on him, myself included. I think I tweeted out we're going to learn if it's Jason Tatum or Jason Tatum at the end of this fourth quarter. But I mean, those are some pretty tough shots down the stretch. And the one thing I will give him crap for was that at the end of the game, right? So he's interviewed. And he said, like, humbly, I'm one of the best players in the league. And I just thought that was funny because that's not how the word humbly works.
Right.
That's just not what humility is. That's not how it works. But that made me laugh. But I mean, listen, so going into game 7, right, which is going to be Sunday. I actually thought it was going to be Saturday. So it's going to be Sunday, and it depends on the Warriors game tonight. If the Warriors win, the Celtics will play at, I think, 8 o'clock or 7:30 on TNT. And then the Warriors-Lakers game will be at 3:30. If they lose, the Celtics will be playing at 3:30 on ABC. So they got a couple days to rest. But I mean, it's funny. I felt relieved last night. I felt very excited that we got one more Celtics game, of course, because I'm a Celtics fan. But at no part of me am I like, oh, dude, game 7, it's a wrap. We got this. I still don't feel great.
I saw this comment from Robert Dreden, and I just felt bad for my man.
Hold on.
I don't know you, Robert. So let's highlight this comment.
I feel horrible as a Sixers fan. I'll be 41 this year, and the Celtics have owned us my entire life and will never win a title. I've learned to deal with it. Robert, Robert, I think that's reverse. You're reverse jinxing it, though. He's just out of here. You're just out here trying to be like, well, it'll never work, so that means it will work.
Exactly. Look, here's a fun stat. Doc Rivers has never won a road game 7 in his career.
Yeah, that's true. Like it's Doc Rivers versus James Harden. James Harden, who had an awful game. He went, 4 for, let me pull this up. Yeah, let me just real quick, I'll do this. So Embiid went for 26 and 10, 8 for 8 from the line. Maxey, again, dude, Maxey's been showing up. This is like a few games in a row now. He had 26 and 5, 3 for 9 from 3. And then Harden, 4 for 16 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3. Got 5 of his 13 points from the line, went 13, 9, and 7. And was minus 10 out there. And then their bench, Georges Niang came out there. He dropped Yang hit his three, like a couple of threes. It felt like Yang was one of the best players on the court for a little while. Like he was locking up Tatum at the top of the key.
Boston kid, baby.
That was so bizarre. But yeah. So going into Game 7, it's like it's Harden and Doc versus the Celtics, who are, I believe, it's 7-9 in their last 16 home playoff games, which that's not great.
Not great.
But I don't know. How are you feeling headed into Game 7?
I said this yesterday in a text message to some friends, and they made fun of me for it. But I was like nervously confident, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I feel good about this matchup broadly. I think Tatum and Brown are two of the best three players on the floor at any one time.
Yeah.
And I just think the Celtics are deeper. They have the ability to hit shots. Now, look, you got to stop Tobias Harris not Tobias Harris. My bad, because Tobias has been terrible. Tyrese Maxey from going to his right. Every time Tyrese is going to his right, he's making buckets. He's been fucking fantastic the last 2.5 games.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's so funny because the Sixers play so goddamn slow, and like Harden takes his time, and Embiid takes his time, and then Maxey is just like cocaine running around. Like it's just such a breath of fresh air too. I imagine if you're a Sixers fan, you just love it. Like he catches in rhythm and just fires. He just flies around. He's super fun to watch. I enjoy Maxey quite a bit.
And the weird thing is, like when you're doing the breakdown stuff, it's weird because whenever Maxey is driving, you don't see them cut. It's the oddest thing. Yeah. Like they're so rigid in what their system is that you just don't really see. Like if PJ Tucker did one cut on a Tyrese Maxey drive, they would have a bucket every time.
I know.
Because the Celtics are so concerned about that Maxey drive.
It's fun watching PJ Tucker just stay wide open. Like they really do. I mean, he's the guy they help off. And I know he can hit that occasionally, but I mean, his over-under on points yesterday was 4. Like for someone that plays 40 minutes a game, it's just nuts.
Oh, I got 2 post-game things. Keeper makes a good point.
I missed this. I was just going to ask about it.
Oh, yeah.
What did he say?
He basically in the post-game was like, look, man, he basically was like, I want to say, basically keep the disrespect as loud as you guys have been, more or less, which is basically like, look, the Garden's been good during the playoffs, but not great. You guys need to bring it on Sunday. I know how loud the Garden can get. You guys have been kind of mediocre here in the playoffs. Let's bring it.
I wonder if can Celtics fans respond and be like, we'll bring it if you bring it? I like that. I get the frustration of them. Like I'd rather you we're at home. I don't want to get hammered at home like that. But I mean, they earned those boosts in Game 5.
Yeah, look, and the other post game comment that's I don't think it's been picked up fully yet, and I'll see if the morning shows pick it up. It'll certainly be noticed in Boston. I don't know whether it'll be picked up nationally. Marcus Smart last night talked about Joe Mazzulla.
Oh, I saw this.
And said, and I quote, Joe's been criticized for his adjustments, sometimes rightfully so. And I was like,
it's funny because I think I understood what he was trying to do there. I think this was like we're rallying around our guy. And then was trying to be like, I get what you guys are saying, but like, he's our guy. We'd go to battle for him. But I saw that same thing and I was like, oh man, I would have left that part out. Like Joe's been getting hammered in the media, but you know what he did tonight? Like, because I thought Tatum said some stuff about Joe after too. There was a quote where he said, like in the second half while he was struggling, he like pulled him aside. He's like, I love you, man. Just go get the fucking ball. And it did seem like everybody was going out of their way to show their coach a little love. I wonder, I mean, listen, I don't think there is ever an upside from going down 3-2 after you blow Game 5 in the manner that you did, in the way that they've been playing basketball. But maybe this is like galvanized them in a way like, oh, you hate the coach? Oh, you hate us? You don't think like, well, we'll fucking show you guys. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of the energy.
It's also, look, I think the broader context for the Celtics is super important, right? Like the idea of Ime Udoka getting hired this week or late last week is sort of this striking part of the whole narrative.
Yeah.
People forget that Joe Mazzulla was the 4th coach on the Celtics coaching staff.
Yeah, I forget what pod was it. Simmons's pod or group chat? Maybe it was group chat on the Ringer. They were talking about how Will Hardy, who went to the Jazz, Damon Stoudemire went to Georgia Tech, and then it was Missoula, right? So Ime and then those two guys, and then Missoula.
Yeah, look, and Stoudemire was never going to be hired as a head coach because Brad has kind of picked Missoula as his guy.
Yeah,
and Damon was one of Ime's guys, so it didn't entirely make sense to hire him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's messy, but like going into a game 7 in Boston, with some real legacy shit on the line, I feel good about where we are, potentially with a clear path the Eastern Conference Finals. Just one last note on this game. How weird was the clear path transition take foul stuff, where they took free throws away and then put them back on the board?
Dude, I was too hot when it was happening, and they didn't have the audio on. So I truly was like, I thought they called when they reviewed the Time Lord thing that went to the Sixers, right? The ball goes off of Time Lord as originally ruled. Celtics ball was Sixers ball. When they came back from that, I was like, did I miss something? Like, was there in that replay?
Fucking nuts on playback.
Yeah, I was like, did they fix? But then I was like, this feels. And again, I'm a Celtics fan, so take that for what it's worth. If the wrong guy shoots the free throw, I almost feel like you lose your free throws. Like, isn't there a penalty for not knowing the rule? Like, it's almost like in baseball or softball or whatever. If you bat out of order, that's an out. You know what I mean? Like, if the wrong guy comes up, I'm like, how is that? I just couldn't believe.
Isn't that the classic Draymond thing of, Draymond and the Warriors do this pretty regularly, where sometimes they'll like try to send the wrong guy to the line pretty frequently. They'll just be like, oh no, it was actually this guy who got fouled.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like one of the weirder parts of that game where I was just like, what are we doing here, NBA?
Yeah, that was bizarre. But I would say the good news is if you're a Sixers fan, right? Because I know we're talking Boston heavy because we're both Celtics fans. Like Embiid looks good. I know he got tired there in the fourth quarter,
awesome.
But he's been really good the last couple of games. He seems healthy enough. You've already gone into Boston and have won 2 games this series, right? So like the Celtics are kind of on edge, right? You're like someone that's close to having a nervous breakdown, and it could be like anything that sets them off. That's kind of the energy that they have right now. So. If you are a Sixers fan, this is still very winnable. I think you should feel okay. Obviously, you'd rather close it out in Game 6 and not have to go back to Boston. But I don't think it's like doomsday yet for them. And if you're the Celtics, you're just like, listen, we haven't hit threes yet. And if we hit threes, I guess they did shoot like 40% last night. But if they have a good shooting night, you win. It's over. I think those are the 2 things.
Look, the one thing I'll say about the Embiid stuff is through 3 quarters, he was the best player in the court last night. And he had that block where he blocked it, saved it, and then outletted it. And that's one of those plays that you look at and you're like, there's only like 3 or 4 guys in the world that can do that.
Right.
And he's just that good. And he does look healthy. He had one, we talked about pump fakes earlier. He had one pump fake where he pumped and then just dunked all over the Celtics early in the first half. And he's in that space now. So we'll see.
It's going to be a fun one.
The one concern I have for the Sixers is this. Their bench help has been so bad.
Yeah.
If they don't get a good game out of D'Anthony Melton, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, Melton missed some open threes too in that stretch where no one was taking the game in the fourth quarter. It was tough. Common Man, you might have missed it, but I was talking about it earlier. I was just saying that's not how the word humility works.
No.
I get what he was trying to say. Like, you're right. He's trying to say, listen, I'm a good basketball player. The shots weren't going in, but I knew I had to keep firing. Like, I'm good. I get it. I just always love when people, there was a story when I was growing up it was in like our local paper. I think it was the Enterprise. I think that's what it was, the Enterprise, or maybe the Standard Times, whatever, doesn't matter. But there was somebody who created this, like, it was like a church league softball or church softball league that I actually played in. My family played in for like I was on a team with my dad for a while. But anyways, he like created this thing. It was like all over southeastern Massachusetts. And there was an article that came in the paper about it. And he was like, it was this guy talking about how humble he was, which I just was like, like you can't say that, man. You got to let somebody else say that. Like you saying how humble you are is actually the opposite of what humility is. And it always reminds me of a Pop Star, the movie Pop Star, which criminally underrated, by the way. But Andy Samberg went out there. He created that song, "I'm So Humble." I think Adam Levine's in it too. It's great. It's great. Yeah, the Standard Times in New Bedford paper. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Standard Times. I think the Enterprise is Brockton, baby. Brock Vegas. Anyways, good. I just wanted to get that out there. That was fun. Hey, I'm humble. Yeah, I'm so humble. It's great.
Look, guys,
it's a great box.
Humbly, we have the best playback in the world. So
dude,
fuck out of here.
Out of control. We're over 500 members, by the way, over there. So shout out to you and Sneeps. Let's pivot to the second game. There's a couple things I wanted to highlight. I tweeted a stat out earlier. I wanted to give credit for who I quote tweeted, and then I wanted to look at something. So Jokic in this series, for those that don't know, the Nuggets smoked the Suns last night. I think it was 125-100. But Jokic finished this series, with 34 points, 13 boards, 10 dimes. He's the only NBA player to average 30, 10, and 10 in a series win in the last 60 years. I mean, the dude has been out of control. And I wanted to highlight one more tweet that was just so damn funny. And I think it's from the account Miles Brown. He says, if Phoenix gets eliminated in a blowout by one more Euro and Joe Biden might start sending them money. And I thought that was just incredible. But
they might even join NATO.
They might join NATO. Couple of notes from that game. So Jokic again finished the triple-double. The entire Nuggets team, I guess, is like battling non-COVID illness thing. So like Jamal Murray almost didn't play, but he still ended up dropping a solid game. He had like 19, I think it was, right? Let me just look at this quickly.
26.
Oh, he had 26. Oh, all right. There we go. Yeah. So 26. Jokic already said triple-double, 32, 12, and 10. KCP had a crazy game. I think he had 17 at half and then finished with 21. And then the Brown Bros off the bench, Bruce and Christian, played pretty well. And then Phoenix, the only thing to notice that Cameron Payne was like on fire last night. Like finished with
not even my server lineups, baby. I'll take it.
There you go. Yeah. I think he was like 7 for 7 from 3 to start the game. But I wanted to, because I know we've had this conversation a couple of times when talking about Jokic, and it like throughout the regular season, everybody comes in here and is like, oh, do it in the playoffs. When are you going to do it in the playoffs? I'm going to highlight. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Jokic's 5th time in the playoffs. All right. So he's been in 5 years, 5 consecutive years. His first year, he averaged 25, 13, and 8. His second year, he averaged 24, 9, and 5. His third year, he averaged 30, 11, and 5. Last year, he averaged 31, 13, and 5. And this year, he's averaging just over 30. They're almost 30, 12, and 9, almost 13. The dude's fucking incredible, man. He's just playing out of his mind.
Winston, it's not necessarily that underrated is the right wording. It's more that the public perception of Jokic in the playoffs is underrated.
Yeah.
Like, so, the last couple of years, last year, obviously with Golden State, where, he's down his 2 best players in Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. And, he's playing a team that ends up winning a title and he gets smoked. What'd they lose in 5 games?
Yeah.
So like, I understand where the criticism of Jokic comes from. But it just comes from a place that feels a little, let's be honest, anti-European to an extent. Like, if Jokic was an American, I think there's an element of his perception being different, maybe.
I think there's some of that. I do think there's some of that. But I honestly think more of it, and maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I think more of it is that he just doesn't look like he's an athlete, I think it's hard to give someone. It's like David Wells, like when David Wells was out there throwing no hitters on coke. It was just like
perfect games, baby.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it was like, wow, David Wells looks like my neighbor that mows his lawn with his shirt off. Like and I think that plays into some of it where you look at Jokic and we're like, no way. Like Embiid, even though they both pretty much play with the same speed, Embiid looks like he's an athlete, where Jokic, I think, doesn't. He looks like
but Jokic is the crazy thing about this game is you look at it in its totality. In the first half, Denver dropped 44 and 37 in the first and second quarters.
It's crazy.
Like, we're talking about a Suns team that was actually pretty good defensively once KD came in, and Denver just took them to the woodshed and beat the ever living fuck out of them.
Yeah, it was
Like,
a tough.
They didn't just take this series. It took Devin Booker playing out of his mind for them to win 2 games.
Right. I mean, right. They combined for 86 and 72 in their 2 home games prior to last night. And then they didn't get that last night. I also, one other thing before we well, actually, let's pivot to talking about Phoenix's offseason. But I thought it was interesting last night, this new trend of like players not having to talk to the media after they get their teeth kicked in. Devin Booker didn't talk to anybody last night. And I saw a tweet that was basically like, are Steph and LeBron going to be the last 2 guys that talk to the media after every game? I think that's so weak, man, especially like, I feel like you owe that not only to the fans, but dude, like the press that have covered you the entire, like the Phoenix press, not necessarily like the national press,
people,
but like, you know, they've been in and out there with you every day. Like, go up there and eat the L, you know, you earned it. I don't understand. I don't understand why they think that's like a good move.
Not to cape up for the media, because we are in theory, in some ways, tangentially media. But I do think the fine should be heavier if you miss your post game and elimination game.
I think
because
so
the fine's fucking nothing. Like, all right, D-Book will eat $25K out of his fucking $200 million contract. You think he gives a shit about that? Now, that said, he's going to have exit interviews.
Sorry, I've seen Eric. Eric just said Julius Randle.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, right. Like, you'll have exit interviews. Why do people get bent out of shape about who does and who doesn't talk to the media? I just think like, dude, this is like the game. This is like part of the job. This is like part of the job. You have to be able to do it. And I just think it's weird when you get eliminated and you don't talk about it. I think it's weird.
Well, here's what I would say is ultimately, especially with Booker. Booker is the kind of person who you meet in real life and seems like he's kind of your friend, but he's also kind of a dick. And then you find out, like, behind the scenes, he's talking shit about you. And that's kind of how I feel broadly about him. Like people like him around the league. There should be a consensus of, like, guys who kind of grew up with him on the AAU scene who really like him. But nationally in the media, that dude has gotten fucking hammered this morning.
Yeah. Well,
and it's like, you just got to be better.
I wonder how often he was talking to them after, like, because every podcast for the last 2 weeks was like, man, Ayton's the next guy. And that very well could be true. I mean, he was incredible.
Booker.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Booker. What did I say? Ayton?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not the next guy. Or he's the next guy on a different team. Detroit Pistons, get ready. But, like, I don't know. I think you got to be able to do it, but whatever. Anyways,
the one thing I'll just say about the Suns, we can kind of cap the Suns conversation. The Ayton conversation last night was the only thing people wanted to talk about in the second half. Ayton just sitting there smirking.
It was weird, man. I missed when the rib contusion happened in game 5. I don't remember him getting dinged up. I was like surprised at the Q tag. And then when I saw it, I thought this was like a Tom Brady Q tag where like Ayton's going to play. I'm like, there's no way he misses this game. So I was stunned he didn't play.
I mean, look, the relationship between him and the organization was poisoned last year when they matched the deal.
Right.
He was very clearly unhappy about coming back. There's obviously I've seen Jeb's comments in the Discord and on Twitter posting what Ayton said about wanting to get to a second contract, which I think is a little overdone. Like, everyone wants to get to a second contract. What's weird about that is that you're the number 1 pick. You're going to get a fucking second contract.
I know. Like Wiseman's getting a second contract.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Wiseman was the number 2 pick. You should get a second contract.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, Ayton's going to get dealt. Here's a thought on Ayton. Would you do Ayton for John Collins and DeAndre Hunter?
I mean, I guess it depends how you feel about Jalen Johnson and AJ Griffin. Like, I think that does, because that's like 2 guys who play similar position. You're kind of like wiping out your 3-4 depth with that. And I know they have tons of depth, but if you feel pretty good about the future of Jalen Johnson, maybe something. Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't.
It gets you off the Collins money, and it gets you off the Hunter money.
Yeah.
in a way that makes a little bit more sense for a Hawks team that, frankly, has been, I wouldn't say rebuilding, but in a kind of mid-tier contender phase. And Ayton kind of makes sense as a pick and roll guy. The only issue is you have to figure out what you want to do with Capella.
Yeah, and Okongwu. I mean, I think Okongwu is going to
True.
be, their next guy. We're still talking about Phoenix, Stan. Relax. We haven't moved off. We're talking about Ayton.
Yeah, we're going to get to Katie choking. Like,
Um,
and I wouldn't even say it's Katie choking. Let's be very clear. Like, that team just, look, KD shot 8 of 19. Didn't shoot any threes last night, which is kind of weird for KD.
I thought he was pretty bad the last couple of games. Like, I know
but
his
was
stats look good, but
like
empty.
Here's what I would just say. Like, that bench just isn't very good. And
Yeah.
like, they're playing 6.5 guys that matter.
Yeah.
Right? You know, when you're relying on Josh Okogie for real minutes and
Cameron Payne,
Landry Shamet, Torrey Craig, Damian Lee played 12 minutes last night.
Yeah, I think, like, listen, with the knock when this trade happened, right? They're like, holy shit, Kevin Durant. If like DeAndre Ayton's your fourth guy, right? They were like, this is a team that's built for it. And the concern, even if they were healthy, was depth, right? But then you talk yourself into, well, in the playoffs, you tighten your rotations anyway, so you really just need like 6.5 guys, and then you lose 2 of the 4 that you needed. Right. So now it's down to KD, Book, and then just like the garbage pail kids for the rest of your starting 5. And that's a problem. Like, that is going to be a problem. And like, here's the other thing that everyone's afraid to do this. The Denver Nuggets are good. Like,
Yes.
even a healthy Suns team, I still think Denver wins that game. Like, I know Denver took the last month of the season off and everybody was like, oh, maybe it's a fraud, fake team. Like, no, man, they can get any shot they want with that team. And the other thing that we're learning that not a lot of people are very interested in talking about, except for Nekias Duncan, Denver's defense, not that bad lately. Like, they're not that bad. Like, Michael Porter Jr. has stepped it up a little bit. Jokic, very rested and ready to play defense now, too. I think like Denver was the better team regardless. And we learned that.
Quickly, since you mentioned our guy, Nekias. Guys, if you want to get smarter about basketball, go listen or watch Dunker Spot, please. We're friends with them from Playback. They're good people, man. They've been super supportive of us behind the scenes. Like, they're good dudes. Steve Jones Jr., Nekias Duncan, go watch their shit. And they just signed with JJ Redick and Old Man in the 3. So, yeah, go watch your stuff because you will get significantly smarter in terms of breaking down the game.
I wonder what's the Old Man in the 3 going to be when JJ Redick is telling Pascal Siakam to finish strong.
Oh yeah, what was your take on that yesterday?
I'm here for it. I don't know. I think Toronto needs it. Can you imagine a different change of pace, like a more contrasting styles of coaching from Nick Nurse to JJ Redick? Just because, like, I think JJ Redick would be way more of a player's coach than what Nick Nurse was. And I don't know. I mean, to me, if you don't think the Raptors have a real ceiling right now, sure, why not? Let's see what happens.
Well, I think that with the Raptors, they're in such a weird spot of what they do, and like what happens with Fred VanVleet. What do you do with Gary Trent? Both are free agents. What the fuck's happening with OG Anunoby, who you tried to deal with the deadline? There's just a lot there.
Yeah.
And who was it? Someone dropped something kind of funny in the chat. Yeah, Boston Base. Watch Weisberg and preview NBA. I agree with that. Yes, thank you, Boston Base.
There you go.
I appreciate that. But yeah, look, I think the Redick stuff. Redick's going to take an NBA job.
Yeah,
he nearly got an assistant coaching job at the Celtics before the season.
Yeah.
Brad Stevens offered him the job right after they hired Mazzulla to be their second or third assistant.
Yeah,
which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy. Because as Shiggins is saying, how does he get an interview? That's a joke. Absolutely no coaching. I mean, I go back and forth. Like, I think it would be wild if he started with a head coaching job because, like, we've seen it happen a couple of times. Like Jason Kidd, I think, started with a head coaching job. Isaiah Thomas, who is he going to be coaching the Suns next year? Who's Steve Nash? Right? There's it's usually all-time greats. First ballot Hall of Famers that get like a shot to coach immediately. Larry Bird, guys like that. Derek Fisher. All right, so that theory is broken. I could still see. I think it would make more sense if he took one of those, like maybe lead assistants or like top four, whatever, something like that, before jumping into the head coaching tree. But hey, listen, if you're a team trying to make a splash, you get JJ Redick out there. I don't know. That's what I was saying. AS. I don't think JJ Redick is one of those. That's what I'm saying.
Look, JJ's a really smart dude, and you talk to people around the league. He's super well respected. He's well known with a lot of organizations, not just like in terms of like who he is as a dude, but I think specifically speaking to his work ethic. You know, one thing she talked about on the pod recently was like, I want to say this was about a month ago, but he talked about like why he retired. And the essence of it was
Tesla. For the podcast listeners, shout out to Tesla for the super chat. Said Redick must really hate his family. Wasn't he just saying he's excited to spend more time with them now that he's retired? Yeah, and all he's done since is like grows Media Corp, and now it's
take a head coaching job potentially. No, but he talked about like why he couldn't continue playing, and he was like, "Look, if I can't commit to what my summer workout routine is, then I'm just not going to play." And I think that kind of speaks to his mentality as a coach, which is he's going to work dudes a lot harder than I think people would expect. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Boston Base. This one's not as cool as Top Shot Tesla, but I still appreciate it.
Take the dollar.
Man, yeah, I don't know. So let's go back to Phoenix real quick. Do you have any? So I know you mentioned the Ayton thing. Like, what do they do in the offseason? Like, I know I'm not fully aware of like what their financial situation is going to be like or what expirings they have. I know they still have Chris Paul in there. They obviously have KD for a couple more years booked. And then Ayton, who just signed that deal, who I imagine gets moved, but I feel like he tanked his own value this year. But I don't know. Like, what do you think they kind of do heading into the offseason?
So let me pull up Spotrac real quick, just because I want to see what the number is for CP. So the current contracts, looking on the multi-year here. All right, so Chris Paul is technically extension eligible, but the interesting thing about Chris Paul is his contract's a little weird. It's partially guaranteed for only $15.8 million this year. So you could deal him if you wanted to do some kind of reload. Bandy
will take this in appearance.
And so you could find a way to do Ayton and CP in a deal, and if a team wanted to waive CP for the remaining $15 million, you could do that. There was a deal earlier for Ayton that I really liked. Who had that in the chat earlier? It was a regulator. Best Ayton trade I've seen. Chicago Bulls received Davis Bertans, Reggie Bullock, 2027 first-round pick. Phoenix received DeMar DeRozan. Mavericks received DeAndre Ayton. Now, that deal would be pending signing Kyrie.
Right. Wow.
So
the Mavs signing Kyrie.
Mavs re-signing Kyrie. Actually, yeah. So, like, Mavs would be looking at Luka, Ayton, Kyrie being their core. Wow, that would be the weird core. Phoenix ends up with DeRozan. Let's say you keep CP, Booker, Durant.
Wow.
They would just kill people in the mid-range. I don't know. Like, they have options, but it's a little weird. You could move some of their smaller contracts. They don't have a ton of non-guaranteed stuff.
Is Chicago just getting absolutely hosed in that deal, though?
Yeah, but they need picks.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just need assets at this point. And because Vooch still has, I think, another year left on that deal.
I think once it's a player option, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you can find ways to kind of make that stuff work. I just think Chicago's in a space where they really need to start reloading assets and figure out what's going on with Lonzo. Do you trade Zach LaVine? They just got lots of options of how they want to handle things.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. That'll be fun off season. So for tonight, right? We have Heat and Knicks is the early game, followed by Warriors and Lakers, which both of those are going to be fun because I feel like, I mean, this is always game 6. Like if you blow, and this is more dangerous than the Philly game because, you know, Philly, Boston, it was 2-2, then it was 3-2, right? But both of these teams, the Knicks and the Warriors coming back from 3-1, like there's some, and would go home for game 7 if they won this. There's some like real pressure on the Lakers. We had the AD thing, which is weird, where he's probable for game 6, but I wonder just like what his health is like. And then I
Can
don't.
I know we're running out of time here, but can we
Yeah.
briefly talk about the discourse about how we talk about head injuries in the NBA for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I agree. It's Scott Foster all day. At 110% ratings all day. People like Stephen A. Smith bothered me yesterday. I know Stephen A. apologized, but like, look, guys, head injuries are not something to fuck around with. We know this in the NFL. We had a whole 3-month conversation about Tua, guys, and for for some segments of the media, NBA on TNT, Stephen A. Smith, I've seen some local Warrior people talk about this in a disrespectful way as well. Just be smarter. Like, what if he had a seizure or a stroke? Like, and I know that's taking it to the extreme, but like, head injuries are really messy. And it's just so frustrating to see the discourse around AD be like, oh, he's Mr. Glass. Yes, he's injury prone. And that shit's funny. But like, don't fuck with head injuries. That's not cool.
Yeah, I was going back and forth. I thought the Stephen A. Smith, I just like can't even watch those breakout videos anymore. So I like caught a clip of it and I was like, whatever. And then I just saw he apologized after without like really apologizing. And then I talked a little bit yesterday about the TNT bit where I know they were goofing around. I go back and forth because I agree. I mean, obviously the head injury, like you can't mess around with the head injury stuff. I just think it's like I also want the teams and organizations to agree with that then too. Like if we're going to hold the media to that standard, then wait, you're telling me that AD, who had just gotten taken out of the game and wheelchaired, was already cleared of concussion protocol within 4 hours? Not even 4 hours. Excuse me. Within like 10 minutes of the game ending, we had Chris Haynes out there reporting that, oh yeah, AD's fine. And now is he fine? Or did they just not want to report it one way or the other? Cause then he's in concussion protocol.
I will note locally, Warriors doctors looked at him too.
Yeah.
So, and that's been a little bit of an underreported part of this is that both teams' doctors looked at him. Both the Lakers and Warriors doctors looked at him and cleared him. Yeah. So apparently he's fine. I don't know. Like, did he like will himself through those tests? Who knows? And we'll see how he looks tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know that.
It's kind of messy.
Who are you taking tonight in both of those games? Wait, come on, Mike. You know why he's playing? Wait, why? Because he's healthy or because he's? Wait, I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
I'm confused.
I think because he's got. I think I know what you're saying. Anyway, so who do you got tonight in the first game? Knicks and Heat.
Knicks Heat. Let's go Knicks. Let's extend this thing. Let's go Knicks.
Wow, I like that. Oh yeah, okay. That's what I thought you were saying. I got you. Yeah. I think the Heat are going to wrap it up tonight.
Heat should close.
Yeah.
Look, the Knicks have looked like trash for most of this series.
Game 7 would be fun. You know what's it's weird. They're like, hey, we're going to have you guys play every other day unless it's a Game 7. Then we'll give you a couple of days rest. So like if they do get Game 7, that'll be Monday night. If Game 7 happens, we're going to be not going to the game, but I think we're going to be going to MSG and doing some little content over there.
Hey, Stan, fuck off.
Yeah. Stan. Oh man, I thought I had something else that I wanted to say about Stan. I tried to make a joke last night because I missed that Donovan Mitchell was at the game. I saw Donovan Mitchell being like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum needs to show up in the fourth quarter, and I had quote tweeted it being like Donovan weighing in from Cancun. But then apparently he was at the game, so the joke.
It's funny. Him, Bam, and Donovan are all AAU bros.
Yeah. Who are you taking in the late game tonight?
I've thought about this game a lot just because I hear about it all the time. Try to make. Thanks, Boston based. I'm gonna take the Warriors to extend this thing. I don't feel great about it because I think the Lakers at home should win this game, but I don't really believe in championship DNA, but I do believe in veteran experience, if that makes sense. And I think these are guys who know what they're doing, and like they're gonna find a way to win.
The Warriors haven't shot well yet, and if all of a sudden they shoot well, we could have one of those games where they just hit like 16 threes, and all of a sudden it's Game 7. I don't know. I don't really know either. I don't really have a take. I feel like I think I'm leaning Warriors, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. I'm trying not to get tricked by the most recent game. We saw the same thing happen with Memphis, and then LA just dominated Memphis in Game 6 at home. I do think there's a little bit more pressure on. Oh, God damn it! 2 minutes of redemption talk. I don't even. Redemptions are happening. If you didn't sell your Embiids yesterday, I'm sorry. Like, it feels like that. You should have sold them yesterday. I don't know. Are you doing anything with redemptions right now?
I bought a bunch of Celtics redemptions after Game 5.
There you go. There you go. Playing the market.
I put my money where my mouth was. I bought a Tatum. I bought a Tatum redemption, a Tatum round 1 playoff moment because I didn't own one. Bought 2 Derek Whites and a Celtics wild card, and then an additional Jaylen Brown. Like, I just felt good about the Celtics in that series. I knew I could be burning money, but hey, what else is Top Shot if not burning money, right?
Yeah, well, listen, as a paid actor who is paid to talk about Top Shot, I got to tell you, the discourse around that thing was so funny yesterday, mainly because if you had watched that funeral show that we did, like, you come away with that like LOLing, right? Like, it was mostly vibes and fun.
It was jokes.
Yeah.
It was all jokes.
And for there we go, Top Shot Tesla. 0 minutes of redemption talk, please. And then for everybody who didn't watch it, all of a sudden got big mad, whether it was Lakers captains or Pac Mamba, who then just did a terrible job making jokes. Like, I don't understand. Whatever. I don't really.
I think it'd be very funny if we created an OnlyFans, but like just posted comedy bits.
So yeah, it got vetoed. I thought about it. Yeah, and that's what like people were like. My favorite thing was the Lakers cat. I don't even remember his name. Daniel
Barry. I've met Daniel a couple times in real life.
I'm sure he's great. I'm sure he's great.
He's awesome.
And I just thought it was so funny to be like, he was like, "Oh, I know for a fact. Trust me, you are paid." And it's like, well, no, I'm not. Like, I'm part of an affiliate program that's made $0 because we have 0 new users. And then bang, he's like, well, but you are part of the affiliate program, so gotcha. And I was like, wait, what? Like, he's proving his point by proving my point. It's very, very confusing. Very confusing.
Well, also, let's just pull a little bit behind the curtain. There's a couple things going on here. There's one on the affiliate program. It's about new users. And is Top Shot getting new users? No, not really. And by not really, I mean, you look at the numbers, no. Second, there is some, like, ever since I went from B2B to Team Hold, that's been a thing. People kind of know behind the scenes. That's kind of like a little, I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but like definitely something that people know about. Daniel's, part of that group. And, anytime those guys feel like they can take a shot at us, they'll do it. So it is what it is.
I was more confusing to me. I mean, I like getting made fun of. I feel like I've built a whole brand around it. You just do a little bit of work, do a little bit of work. And I wouldn't even consider it a rivalry because I just don't think they do anything. Like, I have parody accounts that have more Twitter followers than them. So I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, anyways. I just thought that was funny yesterday. I didn't expect my Twitter to blow up as a hashtag paid actor, which I thought was funny too. Is like, comedians are all just paid actors. I'm like, well, First of all, I don't know if you know how comedians work or anything. I don't know. Zakarian Jones in the chat, he gets it. Pay the man. That shut up. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, shut up my t-shirts, baby.
Let's wrap this up. Weisberg, dude, thanks for getting up early and doing this, man. I appreciate it.
I figured you'd need a little help after that Yankee game yesterday. I wasn't sure how hungover you'd be today.
No, it wasn't. It was more just being around that many people. We didn't really go ham or anything, especially because beers were $44. So for content wise, unless anything wild happens today, that'll be it for the weekend. I'm sure we'll have some playback throughout the weekend as well as we see some Game 6 and Game 7s. A couple of things that I need to pump. Do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed to our new YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. Actually, as I'm sharing this link, I wonder if that takes you there anymore because, it does. We did a couple of some housekeeping things after I talked to the Disney bros. So we actually rebranded our Team Hold NBA channel to call it Team Hold Sports now instead of NBA, so we can throw some other stuff out there. And this Team Hold channel, our handle is now Team Hold Live, since this is where all of our live shows will be. So that's fun. Yeah, we changed those names, baby. We changed it. How much you get paid for this stream? I will probably make $350 from this show. I know that's not true because Top Shot Tesla is giving us $7. Boston Base is giving us $3. That's $10. We're gonna make like $13 today. Yeah, RIP Team Hold NFT. Yeah, we just broaden it out a little bit. We're still gonna be talking our Top Shot. We'll do.
And by the way, we're nearly at 9.3.
yeah, we're at what are we at? 9,293 subs, which is exciting. So we'll hit by the time we're back here, we'll be at 9,310.
And we're over, as you mentioned, we're over 500 members on Playback. Just noting on Playback, we'll be in and out this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to be covering tonight. I got to talk with Sneeps. I have a family dinner I got to go to, but we'll see if I'll cover tonight. If not, we will be covering Game 7, regardless of which Game 7s we'll be covering. At least Celtics won. If there are 2 Game 7s, maybe we do 2 Game 7s.
There we go.
And the other thing that I will note before we finish up here, Playback moving forward will be a little bit weird. We've talked about it kind of broadly in the streams, but post the 15th or the 17th, I believe, we probably won't be doing a ton for the remainder of the season. There are like some specific Playback reasons for that, but moving forward next season, we have a ton of content coming your way. And I will tell you guys this, when the Playback stuff gets announced in terms of some of the deals that we have, we're pretty excited about what's going to be going on. Yeah,
it's all good stuff. And you can just follow Boston Based Twitter, because he'll probably tweet it out before he's supposed to, and you'll get that alpha.
Yeah, Boston Based. That was I'm not shocked they got mad at you about.
I gotta tell you,
they literally said in the town hall, don't say anything publicly, and you literally tweeted it out.
I think they made a mistake though, because they emailed it out too. Like they put a lot of announcements out there, so I feel like that was on
Eric. That's actually pretty funny. I didn't mean to sound like Graham, but I will say that we are really confident about what we're doing with Playback, and like the conversation that Mike's had behind the scenes, we're very comfortable with our partners.
Yeah, it's going to be good shit. I also just dropped the link. Sign up for our partner Pookie. You've got 1 day left, I believe, to get your picks in. And if you haven't signed up for Pookie yet, it's a free account. You can do it for free, and then you can actually win a common Pookie ball just from playing the free game, which is worth cash. Those are going for like $20 if you buy them on the drop. They do drops on Monday, but you can get your picks in this weekend. If the link loads faster, I will take you over there before we get out of here. But I appreciate everyone being here all week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stuff. And we got a little bit of everything this week. We got a bad Celtics loss, a good Celtics win. We get the Suns going home. We get some Top Shot drama, and then some drama on top of Top Shot. Also, the reward is still out there. There's no real reward, but get JL641. If anybody knows him, get him in touch with me. Would love to have him on the show. We need it. We need to talk to this man. And I know some people on Twitter were concerned that I was trying to play gotcha. No, I would love to have a conversation with someone who just dropped 40K. In the same way that I talked to Veerman or that I would talk to NBL, I'm curious about people who, what the moves they're making. All right, here we go. Here's the Pookie. Let's just check real quick. Match day 16 starts. Let's see. Hold on. Where's the play? What's the upcoming one? If we go back,
Eric, there's no way it was Mets.
No, it's not Mets. No way. That's too funny. It starts May 13th in 21 hours. And if you haven't, so definitely create the free one and mess around with it. Have some fun. But then our next drop is on Monday. So we can go grab some Pookie balls together. We're all Pookieing together. All right. That's enough talking. Weisberg, thanks for coming on today, man. I really appreciate you shooting the shit here. Make sure you're following Weisberg. You're signed up for the Playback. Any parting words before we wrap?
Nah, man. Really excited about what we got going on this weekend, and go hang out in the Discord. Later.
All right. We out.